This is By the Wayside, the show that is dedicated to introducing you to creative people. And on this episode, I get to sit down, finally, with comic book creator John Berg, and all-round nice guy. Find out why. Stick around. John, I am super excited because, like I had said, this has been years in the making, and you've always been my white whale, the guy that doesn't want to be on camera. Finally, I get you on camera for a full-length episode, not just like a little vignette of just like, you know, I got my phone and I'm just like, hey, John, what's your comic about? And you're like, my comic's about this. No, now I got you in the hot seat and we're going full tilt on this. Welcome back to this episode of By the Wayside. I, of course, if you were just listening to my rambling, I was just talking about our new guest, the finally guest, comic book creator, John Berg. Thanks again, John, for coming in. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
It's honestly, I really appreciate it because I know how much you hate me deep down inside. John, we'll get right into the questions because I think it's important when someone's a little nervous on camera sometimes, or even being in the public eye, when one person kind of just rambles on and on and on. It's just like, dude, just get there already. So John, we'll get there. John, are you ready for this one?
Let's do it.
John, one look at your Instagram, and it's clear to see that you draw your pages traditionally. And when I mean traditional, I mean like pen and ink, or pencil and ink, then pencil and ink. I wrote pencil and ink. I don't know why I said pen and ink. Is there a reason that you create your projects this way, or that you complete your projects this way?
I've worked both ways. I've done comics digitally and I've done illustration digitally. And I think I realized at some point that a lot of the artists I looked up to and I was looking at their work regularly, I noticed that they were working traditionally. So at some point over the last, I guess, 7 years, I decided to start experimenting with that. And it was a bit of a journey, you know, like some of the early stuff is rougher than I would like looking back on it. But yeah, that was the start of it for me.
Do you have a better feel for something? Like if you started kind of going into the traditional route of pencil and paper, do you feel that it fits better? Like, if you start one way and then you go another way to sort of emulate or to try it, does it feel better to do it that way as opposed to maybe digitally?
I love the sort of messiness of it. I like the mistakes that come out of it. And I like at the end of the day, having something I can pick up and hold.
It's a physical thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it's, you know, remember Tamagotchis?
Yes.
So you would rather, you know, give birth to a full-born baby because you can hold that baby, coddle it. With a Tamagotchi, you're just pressing buttons. It's kind of this. I would just assume it's the same thing. Not being an artist myself, but I could just assume it's the same thing.
Exactly.
Have a baby, no Tamagotchi.
Totally the same. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's on record now. So when your children grow up, they're gonna be like, "Oh, thanks, Dad, for having us not having Tamagotchis." John, often self-promotion can be a mountain to overcome. As an independent creator like yourself, how have you tackled the anxiety that might come from something like that?
I don't feel like I have. I think it's doing slow, tiny steps ever since. I mean, in school, you're told like social media was part of the world already when I was finishing school. So it was already part of the conversation of you had to do it to be as part of your career. So it's been part of my life and career for a long, long time. But it's always been a bit of I feel like I've never jumped in with 2 feet or head first ever, and maybe that's okay. I think everybody has certain levels of comfort with it. Yeah, just tiny steps. Like I remember considering doing my first convention, and my cousin was like, yeah, there's this local convention, you should try it. You know, like, you know, I like comics and I like drawing, and so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna rip the Band-Aid off and try it.
Yeah.
And it was rough. It was a really hard first time, but there was really, really lovely, redeeming, or just very generous moments with people, like comic fans and people going to these shows are generally super generous and kind with their time, and other creators. Like the person I tabled beside for the first time was Shay Han.
Mm-hmm.
And he was so generous with his time and thoughts and encouragement. And so yeah, I respond. It was London Comic Con 2016, I think, was the first show I ever did.
Yeah?
Yeah. So
almost 10 years ago.
Yep.
Actually, it's Not even almost. That is 10 years ago.
Maybe just under October, I think it was.
Okay, so 5 3/4.
Yeah.
Or 10 3/4
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
Now, with each new con or event that you go to, does it get easier every time? Like, do you learn something new at every con, or do you kind of, you keep that same mentality of maybe being a bit nervous about like doing the hard sell for yourself, or do you continue to evolve with your own self promotion specifically at these cons?
Yeah, I think I evolve. I mean, it's still really tough for me. Like I think especially when you have something new, I think every artist is like, okay, I'm showing something new for the first time. How are people going to respond to it? So there's always that element of nervousness. I think. I don't know. I think for me, I haven't had a fast like, I've solved it. It's just such a slow, steady.
Yeah.
I look at. I think that's where I find encouragement. Like try to incrementally improve, just in small ways each time, and just accept that as part of the process. And
yeah, I think that's good. We're only human, right? Like, it's not like you can just solve a problem right away. It's, you always have to. The problem is presented to you, and then you can examine it from all different angles, and then sort of, step outside the box and go, I can maybe do this next time, or in this next time, and then just implement that going further. I don't think anyone's expected to just do it right away, perfectly off the hop.
And I am who I am. Like at some point, you get older enough, and you're like, okay, this is who I am, and I can improve. Absolutely,
yeah.
I can change and improve, but you have to accept certain parts of yourself sometimes.
Fair enough. Yeah. Like I said, we're only human, right? We can't. Our personalities are who we are. So I mean, if you're loud and boisterous, or if you're quiet and meek, then I mean, like, it's just who you are. It's just kind of like what's happened with who you are. And I can't kind of.
Yeah, and it's not always. You find ways to make it work for your. I don't know. Not that you always view it this way, but your limitations or your weaknesses. Sometimes you find a way to, like, at shows I was reflecting on. Like, I love having my original art, like going back to the traditional. I love that being an in to the conversation about my comics with people. So I always have that at the table, and that's a really natural. I love talking brushes and the
art supplies.
I'm not super like precious about it, but I like talking about it. So that's a nice in for me.
That's pretty cool. Just recently, I was at an event where they were promoting comic books and like fan art and illustrators being out there in the community. And one of the really cool things that I saw, and I don't know if I've noticed it before, but it wasn't very busy at the time that I walked by, and the individual was behind their table, and they were working on a book of something. Here, I need a prop, John. Don't go anywhere, John. Let's go with this Dungeons and Dragons, Punches and Flagons book. Okay, Andrew Wheeler's book, and I'm just going to act it out. So this person was standing here, and people were walking by, and they looked at the child walking by, and they say, "You look like the kind of child that likes to read about brothers and sisters battling witches." And he handed it to them. Mm-hmm. And I kind of I walked through this conversation. I was like, that's good. That's like a super hard sell. And I thought, it's also really ballsy, because the parents were like, oh, now my kid's got this book. Like, what am I going to do about it? Yep. So you really see the levels of how people promote themselves when you can actually sort of pay attention and see what's happening. Sometimes there might be a person behind a table and just be like, hey, how are you? Mm-hmm. Or it'd be a person be like, they'll catch you right away and say like, oh, do you like this? But this person was just like, used car salesman right in your face.
Yeah, that's on that end of the
I get it. It was interesting, John. It was just really interesting. You're married.
Yeah.
Newsflash. You're married. I don't know if you know this. And being an independent comic book creator can be daunting, and it can be lonely. Is there anyone other than your partner that you've leaned on for support?
Yeah, lots of people. Like, we've talked a lot about conventions, and I think it feels like a big part of my life as a comic maker. Getting to meet people, but meeting other creators, and I feel so fortunate and grateful that, like, the last few years, like, I've met a nice group of people that are have similar aims and goals and appreciate similar things, and it's so nice to be able to have people in the same boat as you that are. If that makes sense,
it does make sense.
Yeah, so it's the
same group of people, all same. They're all like-minded, and they all have the same goal.
Yeah,
right? It's a win-win. When you're looking at the independent comic community as a whole, the creators, they're always rooting for each other. So there's never
absolutely,
there's never a like, I'm gonna not tell you to go see that person. I'm gonna say go see that person.
Yeah.
Like there's always, everyone is, they're in it to win it. It's a giant community from what I've seen. I have the unique ability to not be a comic book creator, but talk to a lot of comic book creators and see that everybody knows everybody, and everybody really does want the other person to win. It's quite inspiring. And so I guess with that question in mind, as you've gone through this whole process of independent creator and illustrator and school and family, is there someone that you always wanted? Oh my goodness, John, I don't know. Is there someone you wished had supported you? That feels like a very like a traumatic question.
I know, that's where my mind goes. I don't think so. I don't really have that singular sort of experience. Like I do feel fortunate that my parents supported art and encouraged it, and whether it was giving me the tools that I needed or supporting the decision to go to art school. They've done as much as they could. That's without fully understanding the world all the time.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
it's just nice that they were able to support their son. Yeah, I think that's important. Yeah. Support is important across the board.
And I will say, like my dad, looking back on my childhood, he does appreciate art. Like he's found certain artists he likes, and he has some things hanging in his house.
Oh, that's really cool to see. Now, would that be like a sort of a direct connection to you? Like he comes to an event where you are and he goes, oh, John, I saw this person over here, and then he buys art from them and hangs it?
Not so much the like comic sphere, not yet. Not yet. Maybe.
Dang, Dad, watch out.
A little bit more like paintings.
Oh, right on. Yeah.
And so traditional,
more of an appreciation.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
John, don't go anywhere. I'm not going to go anywhere because I'm going to interview you. I don't want you to go anywhere. Stick around. We got lots more with comic creator John Berg right after this.
This is By the Wayside, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to this episode of By the Wayside. We are still with comic creator John Berg. Again, John, thank you very much. We're going to get right into it because you're here to not just promote yourself, but to promote your current and ongoing work, Scab. What is it?
Okay. Well, it's a story set in a medieval sort of broken fantasy world. I call it a dark fantasy. A sorcerer has gotten too powerful and he's kind of destroyed the kingdom with a final spell and mysteriously disappeared. But the fragments of his spell have kind of spread across the kingdom and grown into these monsters that I call Scab. So that's kind of the sort of world building plot version of that. But I think at its core, it's a story about a boy faced with the decision of to what lengths do I go to save the people I love. So that's the emotional.
So is it almost like a wish fulfillment for you? I only mean that in terms of, do you see yourself in a position, again, we're talking about childhood trauma here, but do you see yourself as the main character going like, is there a way that I could save, like, is it something that while you were writing Scab, did you go, oh, this is actually very reflective on my life? Oh man, like this is symbolic to this one event that happened. Is it anything like that? Or is it just a story that you've always wanted to tell?
Definitely not a story I've always wanted. I mean, as I write the story and create the story, I do sort of try to tap into, what was John like as a teenager. I try to channel that a little bit of the like, the extremes that happen when you're a teenager and the emotions and the sort of impulsiveness sometimes. Even the anger, I think that is sort of a side of the story that I'm delving more into the more I get further with it.
Is it therapeutic?
A little bit, when you're drawing something like sort of just over the top happening, I think that, or just trying to convey like the extremes of an emotion, I think it is therapy.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Especially when you are trying to tap into your sort of a past self or something and emotions attached to it. I think that's interesting. I wonder if, now I'm not a therapist or educated in that respect in any disclaimer.
This is for educational purposes or entertainment purposes only. I need to put that disclaimer up. I wonder if there is a therapy method where that exercise is used. They encourage like a story creation, and they say, who were you? I wonder if there is something like that. I think I should look that up.
Yeah, I think so. I think there is. Definitely. Again, I'm not an expert, know much about it, but I've heard of art
For
therapy.
entertainment purposes.
Yeah, art therapy and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think there's some overlap, maybe.
Yeah, it's interesting now that you say it. It feels like that it does make perfect sense. Why wouldn't a therapist or a medical professional in any respect employ that method? That's interesting.
Not that I'm unique though in this, because
Of
I think
course.
a lot of maybe all of art. I don't know. I'm spitballing here a little bit, but I think all of art is a little bit like that. And the best art is you're expressing something.
No, I agree. And to kind of use an instance of mine, I at one time in my life, because I do have a visual arts background, at one time in my life, I did think that I was a painter. I spent some time with some acrylics and some canvas, and there was one time that I decided to paint one or two of the 7 deadly sins. I don't remember what my mentality was back then. I think it was 2003, I'm guessing.
How old?
I'm 23.
Okay.
I would have been 23 at the time. So I actually painted Wrath. It was a close-up face, but it was very much like splotchy and splashy. And I remember crying painting that.
Wow.
And I don't remember what was the trigger. I just remember like I was doing it and I just started like weeping.
Yeah.
And
tapping into something deep.
And it actually turned out to be something that I really enjoyed. Like afterwards, I got to look at the piece and went, "Wow, this is actually I really like this piece." I think it ended up in the garbage a little later in the future after that, but I
like a lot of our younger artists.
Yes, but that's just what I thought. That's just something that sticks out of all the like quote unquote art that I ever did. I actually cried the one time I had an emotional response to my own artwork was when I was 23. Still just a kid, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 45 now, so
yeah, you're expressing things that you don't always have the words for, and I mean that's art, I think. Yeah. Whoa.
We could just stop everything now. I think we just solved art in general. John, you've been working on Scab for well over 5 years now. How do you keep your interest in the characters and story?
It's a long time.
So John's like, I don't like it anymore.
Well, I was when you sent me the question, I was like thinking about that, and it has been sort of this. I mean, at the longest, 5 years, where the first, I think, sketches were done and the character was sort of evolving for me, and then I tried to write it, and then I rewrote it, and I did a first sort of version where I drew pages, and I scrapped that. And then I think that was probably maybe a year or two process of getting to the point of like, okay, this is the first chapter now, and kind of trying to clarify the storytelling a little bit more. And yeah, so it has been a really long process in a sense, but I think my interest comes from the characters, and kind of, I guess at the simplest, just certain plot points that I've imagined for that long.
Yeah.
That I'm like, okay, I genuinely am invested and excited to see this happen to the character.
Yeah.
So that keeps me going.
You're going on a journey with the character. Like even you sitting here saying you are looking back and finding moments in Little John's life to apply to your current character in Scab. And it's just like, well, where, like, as John, the person ages and grows with themselves, the character also grows. So it's kind of become like again, I'm throwing it back to the Tamagotchi baby of it all, but become a child to you almost. It's like a child. Is child the right word? It's your baby. It's your baby, right? Yeah. You spend a lot of time with it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I could see why you would. It's just you want to see where the story goes. You know where you want it to go, but it's all the fun little things that happen in the middle, right? That get to those plot points.
And the interesting thing I'm finding it's not an ideal way, I think, of making a comic. It's hard sort of like working on a little bit and then getting busy with other projects and then working on it again, and then another gap. But there is I'm trying to see some upsides in it. Like the older I get, like I can, like his parents are sort of a part of the story. So I'm a parent now, and I can kind of like add in things to the story that I am learning and experiencing, and the length has given a little bit more depth in another, like,
interesting,
on the other side of tapping into my teenage self and then now tapping into my older self.
So if anyone wants to know anything about you, If someone says, "Oh, who's John Berg?" you say, "Well, you should get a couple copies of Scab because that's who
read
you
the
are."
story about these rock monsters.
There you go. John Berg is Scab, like literally. Like it's in the book it says, or on the book does it say? I'm trying to think of like a book by John Berg.
Maybe.
But then it should just be John Berg is.
John Berg is.
There we go. We did it again. This is a therapeutic episode, John. Oh my goodness. You know why I said John? Because it says John Berg here. I wrote John Berg here, and my brain skipped the BER and went right to the G. Because I'm an idiot. Hey, John, you're the writer and artist on Scab. Has there ever been a time when you wish that you had another storyteller to lean on?
Yes.
Easy answer, right?
There's always, crises of the soul that come with this, and you're like, oh, I would kind of wish I had somebody else to help figure this out. But on the flip side, like that was doing this story was sort of trying to challenge myself to do it, to write and draw for myself. So I don't have to come back to that.
No, it makes sense because, like you said, it's you. Like all sort of what we learned in this last little bit of a segment is that the book is like essentially you, and it's you tapping into who you are and finding out more about yourself, applying who you are to each individual character. Like you are every character in this book, it seems, and which is an amazing thing. So to have someone to lean on, it might take away from that. I mean, I'm not saying that that's the case, but maybe there might be some creative freedom that gets a little bit lost, and you're like, my character would never do that. And when I say another storyteller, I don't know whether that's an artist or if that's a writer or if that's an inker or whatever, but maybe in this respect, in regards to Scab, yeah, maybe something might be lost if there was another storyteller involved in it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
But it's your curse to carry now.
Yeah, totally. And that's part of the journey, I guess, of just finding my own voice through this fantasy story and
dark fantasy story.
Dark fantasy story.
Come on, man.
It's totally a dark fantasy. That's right.
Awesome.
Important distinction.
John, right after this is the D20 segment. So again, I don't want you to go anywhere because I'm not going to go anywhere. And I'm going to ask you to stick around because, like I just said, right after this, we're going to be doing the D20 segment. Did I said stick around, right?
Yes.
I don't remember. We'll be right back. So it's a wizard.
Yes.
And then it's Gollum, I guess.
Could it be a reference
You don't know.
To Jordan's favorite thing?
You don't know. We haven't mentioned it once in this entire episode. So maybe we'll go completely without mentioning the things that you and I both have in common. Welcome back to this episode of By the Wayside. Of course, this is the very fun, the world infamous, the D20 questions. John, we had talked about the rules off camera so that I don't have to go over the rules again. Of course, they're popping up right here while we're talking because that's the magic of television. That's the magic of the internet. And the D20 segment is always super fun. I get serious and silly questions. This is just proof that I have written both of them. It's not just off the cuff. They're well thought out. And I think Omar is making a guest appearance. He's in the back there somewhere, which is not uncommon. It's his shop anyway. So I'm going to get you to roll the D20, and we're going to see what you have. Oh, I don't know. This is amazing. So
it's actually
I wish
right on the edge.
It's like perfect. That's like an edger. So anyway, it's a number one, of course. So number one, you get.
That's not a good sign. Number one.
That's a serious question.
Oh boy.
All right. So the beauty about doing an episode in Wayside Comics and Cocktails is that it's a living environment. People come and go all the time. It doesn't matter. So you got a number one here. Okay. That's great. And the way that I don't know if I could ever do that again. You could. I'm so confused. So serious question. Let's get can you get a serious face with that? Let me show you a serious face. Yeah.
I'm always serious.
I've never seen you smile. Okay. You ready, John? Never seen John Berg smile once in my life. Serious question. Is there room for comic books and graphic novels to pioneer modern storytelling the same way Lord of the Rings did when it was written in 1937 and 1949?
Whoa, that's a doozy. I don't know if I'm educated enough to answer that.
This is a serious question, Omar, not a silly question.
I think so.
Yeah.
Pioneer the way Lord of the Rings. I think it has, hasn't it?
You tell me. I'm not a comic book creator.
I think the last 20 years of storytelling has been pioneered by comics, arguably. Even today, some of the biggest stories on TV or movies have been comics based.
There's a level of the way that the storytelling within comic books has elevated, like you said, other mediums in terms of whether a book is turned into a comic book, like a prose book is turned into a comic book, or even television shows. The one that just pops into my head right now is the fact that Supernatural has been off the air for so long, and currently right now it's back in comic book form.
Right.
So I guess in terms of did I say storytelling? Yes, pioneer modern storytelling. So I guess because they're accessible to everybody, comic books is for everybody, of course. It's not a child's medium. It's for everybody. You see children, you see adults, you see elders reading comic books these days. So in the way that it pioneers it, from my perspective, would be that it creates an accessibility to modern literature.
Yeah, you did a good job.
So I answered the serious question. Anyway, John, that's it. That's how we're gonna do it. So out of the entire episode, one reference to Lord of the Rings.
Oh, it's not enough, Jordan. I'll have to come back and we'll talk about Lord of the Rings.
It took me 3 years to get you once. I'm not waiting another 3 years. John, thanks again for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Stick around. There's a little bit more left in this episode. Don't go anywhere. And of course, that is sorry. And that, of course, is an episode of By the Wayside. I want to thank my guest, John Berg, for finally taking the time out of his day. Finally, it's been years getting this guy on the show, and it finally happened. Thank you again, John Berg, for taking the time speaking to me here at Wayside Comics and Cocktails, of course, where mostly every episode, is recorded of By the Wayside. John, thank you again. I also want to thank Omar Sayer for letting me use Wayside Comics and Cocktails to record my super fun show, By the Wayside. I've said By the Wayside about 1,600 different times in this episode, I think. Even just in this one lone little segment, I've said it enough. Of course, By the Wayside is the show that is dedicated to introducing you to creative people. That's what we do here on By the Wayside. Thanks again, Omar. Thanks again, John. Now that is all out of the way, now that I've said my thanks to everybody, now that I've said my come on downs to everybody, of course, Wayside Comics and Cocktails, which is where I am right now, I'm going to let you take a look at all of the social media here. So here's the social media, of course. There's Facebook, which is on the list. I don't remember the list, how the list goes. TikTok, which I try to be more active on. Instagram, of course, where you'll find all of the updates. You'll find all new guests. You'll find some fun, goofy pictures and some goofy reels. This is the social media. I encourage you to go check it out, subscribe, follow along all the fun adventures of everybody and everything that has to do with By the Wayside. Let's go back. Boom! This is where we are, ladies and gentlemen. I, of course, am your host, Jordan Middlebrook. And if there's one thing I love saying at the end of every episode, brought to you by what Omar Sayer used to say when we did the Omar Recommends, is I'll catch you by the wayside. And of course, I want you to stick around. Now, I was doing something over here, so I'm going to go back to it. Nope, I forgot what I was doing. Stick around. I don't know anymore. I really don't know anymore. It's like a Looney Tunes episode. Somehow this is all devolved into some weird cartoon.
Yeah.
Of course, James and Andrew are still with me, and we're going to be doing. We did the me guest, and now we're going to do me two guests, because I think this question that I have is really important for both of you. You know, we've talked about, you know, what is this what does the podcast mean to you? You know, describe the podcast. So, because the title of the podcast, Geek Hard.
Yeah.
So my question to both of you is,